Story 1. D-Day was early September. I discovered wife on security cameras bringing AP into our bedroom. We have a 5-year-old son. We were together for 12 years and married for 6. I made all the mistakes, begged, pleaded, and cried. 2 weeks she stayed in the house going back and forth between wanting to work it out and then more discovery of her contacting AP. Finally, she moved out to be with AP and I served her with a separation agreement. She got angry about it and countered with her own attorney to go straight for the D. She has an enabling family, which is probably why she is the way she is. I've learned a ton from this sub and implemented it. Been no contact for at least 2 weeks except to talk about our kid. We have joint custody and she is being a good parent, but she has introduced the AP to our son. Nothing I can do about it, says the lawyer. She is going to get half of my 401k. Half of the house. I have to explain to my son why we have to move out of the only home he's known. She is telling everyone that she is leaving an abusive relationship, but a lot of our mutual friends see through her BS. She is telling our son that we both ended the marriage. I know when he is old enough, he will be able to see the truth. I will never lie to him, but until the divorce is finalized, I don't want to risk being accused of alienation. I have PTSD from the discovery of them in our bed. Luckily, I have had a lot of good support from friends and family, got therapy and meds for nightmares and Lexapro to help me get over this hump. Walking for 30 minutes twice a day. I've made way more progress than I ever thought I would at 2 months out, but still a long way to go. So far, she has not engaged in any cake-eating behavior. I think this is an exit affair. We did have problems in the marriage. She said she felt unloved and like I never wanted to go places with her. She delivered the "I've been hurting a long time" line. She shows zero remorse or empathy during the whole ordeal. I wanted desperately to believe that she was in limerence, but I know now that it doesn't really matter if she is or not. Cheating is black and white, and I can never trust her again. It feels like such a tragedy, but it's true. I'm 42 and I can't imagine finding another relationship at my age and with a kid and a cheating co-parent that I have to stay in contact with. 5 months after D-Day update. It's been over 5 months since cheating wife moved out to be with AP. Divorce will be finalized within the week. 50/50 custody and I'm keeping the marital house after paying her out. I've been on Lexapro for 2 months, which helped a lot but is starting to lose its effectiveness. For about 2 months I have been relatively happy, going out with friends to mingle on my no-kid nights. No tears mostly, but now the tears are becoming a little more frequent and stronger in intensity, intrusive thoughts and all that. She has not once shown any sense of remorse or even regret. I guess she's still high on fog chemicals. I shouldn't care, but I do sometimes. I wish she would return to the person I married, but I know it won't happen. I am working on letting go every day, but it is still hard. My 6-year-old has told me on a few occasions how he wishes mom and dad didn't live in separate houses, and that is hard to hear. She brings the AP around him, and honestly that is the hardest part about all this. Mother of my child is comfortable bringing the man she destroyed our family with, a stranger, around our child, while simultaneously shouting my son is my #1 priority. I try to remain ignorant of her social life, but people slip up and tell me sometimes. I know she's Facebook official with AP has taken their relationship public. Even though we aren't even divorced yet. I saw a pic of them together on AP's Instagram profile. I was just scrolling, and he came up as a suggestion. That was an unpleasant surprise that had me crying for a bit, but I bounced back. I also found out that AP is still married, which had me gut laughing. It makes the cheating seem so much more foolish and immature when they cheat with someone who is already in a relationship and don't have the courage to end it like an adult. I have not tried to reach out to AP's spouse, as from what I hear she lives in another country and no longer speaks to AP. Wonder why. I have to go to her apartment occasionally since we co-parent. I cry almost every time I go over there. I try not to, but the tears just come out. She is completely over it, I guess, because she always seems so confused by my tears. She'll text after I leave, "Are you okay?" As if to say, "Are you still upset about that old cheating business? Get over it. It was a long time ago." She takes no responsibility for her actions. The cheating was just an appropriate response to the issues with our marriage, in her mind. People keep warning me about the Hoover, but she has not shown a single hint of cake eating even with all the serious consequences she is experiencing, including NC. Still fogged out, I guess. It could happen if their relationship ends, but it doesn't really matter. Even if she wanted to come back, there is no way I could ever trust her again. I just want her to come to her senses for my son at this point. I would like for her to break out of the fog so she can make better decisions for him. She used to be so much different. Or at least she acted so much differently. Now I feel like I'm dropping my kid off with a spoiled 36-year-old teenager. All in all, Things are getting better. Instead of crying all day every day, I'll go a whole week with no tears. My relationship with my son is blossoming. I used to be so angry all the time when she was still living with us. Now that she is gone, life at home is so much more peaceful. I can't remember the last time I got frustrated with him. I remember blaming myself all the time for our marriage issues, and she would never take any responsibility for any of it. It was always my temper, my neglect of her needs, my wanting to play video games. I admit those things are real problems, but she never took responsibility for her own mistakes and deflected and gaslit me constantly. Now it's dawning on me just how much of the marital issues were her immaturity and inability to self-reflect or admit fault. She was defensive and cruelly critical and contemptuous those last few weeks leading up to D-Day. I'm making emotional progress, but it is definitely a journey. There are still thoughts that weigh heavily on my mind and heart about my son and how all of this SHT is going to damage him, and how much garbage she is going to fill his head with. She is already lying to him about the circumstances surrounding our split. Me and Daddy both ended the marriage. I'm confident when he grows up, he will see through her lies, and if he asks, I'll tell him the truth. Reader comment: man, stop talking to her. You have to co-parent, but about the child only. No in-person communications. Make it matter of fact. Use text or other means otherwise. Don't subject yourself to that unnecessarily. Original poster: I have stopped. I ignore any personal or emotional messages. It's strictly about the kid and through text. Co-parenting app to manage custody schedule. I have not said a word to her about anything other than co-parenting in months. I have not initiated a conversation with her in at least 3 months. If she asks anything about how I'm doing or questions about my life, I gray rock. When she asked, "Are you okay?" I just gray rocked yep. If she asks about the divorce, I tell her to talk to her lawyer. Reader comment: why do you interact with her when you do pickups and drop-offs? These interactions should take a few minutes at most. There is no need for small talk. Just get your son and his belongings and go. Original poster: I don't. There was no talking, just crying. It was a normal drop-off. Other than that, I barely even look at her when we do exchanges, and 99% of the time I just pick him up from school and don't see her. I made it sound like I went over there and had a cup of tea. No, we are in mostly NC except about the kid. Reader comment: Opus, I'm sorry that you're going through this. Is she still taking half of your 401k? Original poster: nope, she said all she wants is to split the house. That is a huge relief. Story 2, trying to reconcile, but don't know what to do. I've been married to my wife for a little over a year, dated for 2 priors. During that time, I was wrestling with a ton of unresolved trauma, a PORN addiction of 20 years, and a more recent ADHD diagnosis. I had basically been locked out of my emotions for years and didn't even realize it. This caused a lot of abusive behaviors out of fear of being caught. I would lie, trickle truth, and get very defensive, deflect questions in which she would try to understand me, but I thought she was interrogating me. I caused her to feel very alone, neglected, and I wasn't emotionally available or mature enough to be the emotional support she needed me to be through things like an ectopic pregnancy and her dad's cancer diagnosis. We separated just before our year anniversary so she could take time to heal, go to therapy, and work through her anger. I had been in counseling since January last year, and a lot of the work I've doing has finally culminated in a lot of positive changes, including feeling in touch with my emotions again, right around the time she left. I've been trying to be intentional about the ways I was a SHTTY husband in the past and show her the attention and affection I was incapable of before. She started talking about divorce and that she had been preferring it, and then I discovered while visiting her for Christmas that she started having an affair with some guy from her gym 2 weeks after we separated. I saw the text, confronted her, forgave her even though she blamed me for her decision to do what she did, and though saying she would end it. It took her 5 days to. I told her if it happened again, I'd be gone. Then just a few days after I left, she had unblocked him and met up with him again. I still chose to forgive. Last week, I saw she had saved photos from his social media on her phone, which she lied about having and apologized for when I caught her. She hasn't had any contact with him though. We have been talking about reconciliation and having her move back in with me and doing couples therapy, but now she shows basically zero affection. Can't decide if she misses that guy or just how he made her feel, and is pretty shut down to me. She's afraid she can't ever open up to me again, and she is scared that under all the resentment she still has toward me, she doesn't know if they're really feelings for me. So, at the same time she assures me nothing will happen, I'm the one feeling like I have to prove my love for her, while she still remains pretty checked out. She is scared that I'll never make her feel the way he did, and she says something is missing with us. She wants me, but basically refuses to show any interest in me, which sucks since I literally saw how she went out of her way to sneak around with this other guy. There was never an excuse made to meet up with him, but nothing but excuses with me. Now we are both really hurting, and I need reassurance from her that she wants to be with me. But all she says is sorry when I communicate what I need right now. She doesn't say she will do anything differently at all. I want to reconcile. She said she wants to reconcile, but it feels like now I'm the only one showing interest in this, whereas it feels like she is just gritting her teeth and getting through it. It feels like she is only now trying because of guilt from the affair, not because she wants to be with me like she says. I do now. I was a really SHTTY partner throughout our relationship, and I really hurt her. I don't know how to move forward with her, or if I should just walk away and save her and myself the trouble. I don't know if I'm asking for advice or support, or both. But I really want to save this marriage and I don't know what to do. Reader comment. So, you're a bad partner and you recognize that, and you've been working on it for a year. It still does not excuse somebody having an affair. If she couldn't deal with it, she should have just divorced. You moved on and found a different person and had another relationship. Still didn't deserve having an affair. The thing is, you set boundaries and she continued to go forward with the affair over you. Now you both are suffering from the situation after she broke her promise the first time. You should have just cut it off there like you had told her. This is what a boundary is. You make a boundary, you keep it. You don't keep giving them another chance because they will keep taking another chance. This relationship is over for both of you. Go ahead and end it. Continue to get yourself better and then go find someone to have a good relationship with. This one is now toxic and not savable. Reader comment. She is gaslighting the heck out of you, and the fact that you forgave her twice without consequences shows she can get away with anything. As a result, she doesn't respect you. Unless you somehow get that back, you don't have much to work with no matter her words. Reader comment. Bud, she is long gone checked out. She is mourning and missing her AP under your roof right in front of you. She only came back to you for shelter, not love. You're only wasting your time trying to reanimate a dead corpse. Send her back to where she belongs. Cut all contact with her. Find some good and affordable attorneys to initiate divorce and rebuild. If any case, since she's still in the fog, you might get lucky in how everything may go. Your wife never came back, my friend. She died and this stranger in her place has taken over. It's time to finish this race. Story 3. Is this cheating? GF slept in same bed as her ex. The girl I'm dating slept in the same bed as her ex. Backstory. I'm dating this girl. We met. Initially, I didn't want anything to do with her for various reasons I won't mention. She love-bombed me, bought me expensive things, told me things that made me feel unique and special to her, told me her anxiety disappears when she's with me, etc., etc. She had a holiday trip to travel USA planned for 3 months. The month before, we basically saw each other almost every day, and I stayed 5-7 nights a week at her apartment as she lived by herself and her family lived interstate. We did every date under the sun together, from bowling to skinny dipping at the beach, etc., etc. A week from the day she had to leave, she told me her ex was coming down from interstate to help her pack and drive her and her stuff back to her home state. She told me things might be a bit different while I was down for 3 days to help her. This was all good on my part. They were close family friends, and all feelings between them were a thing of the past as he has been dating another girl for a year. The night before he came, she had asked me if I wanted to take MDMA with her, to which I declined, as I don't use drugs. She told me that it's not bad and SX feels so good on it. Still, I wasn't going to take it with her, and she was uncomfortable doing it by herself. The first night he was here, we all went out together clubbing. Myself, my best friend, her best friend, and her ex. She was pretty distant towards me, not showing any affection in the club unless it was behind his back. I got along with him well, and she told me that I was the first guy he's ever approved of to date her. All good so far. I asked if I could stay with them tonight and she declined causes her ex has come from interstate to help her pack and she didn't want him to feel uncomfortable. She assured me that he was sleeping on the couch and kept telling me he had a girl back home. The next night we were hanging out at a bar as a group. Me and her went around the corner cause I had to talk to her in private about something, and he randomly got mad and left and ended up taking her key with her and locked her out of her apartment until the next morning. He apparently was tired and fell asleep. The next night I saw her after work and me and her had an argument and she was really drunk and left. To shorten an already long story, basically on that night we argued. The apartment was all packed up and so he slept in the same bed as her. I suspected that they were having sex the whole time he was here, so I decided to ask her. I said that we weren't officially exclusive and she was entitled to do as she liked. She was initially defensive, but eventually she told me that they were cuddling for a bit. He started to dry hump her and she told him that they needed to separate and then they went to sleep, no issues. Did she cheat? I told her that it was okay if she slept with him, and that I already think she did, and I would just appreciate honesty so we can move forward. It's been a couple weeks now she's gaslighted me saying I have trust issues and how we can't move forward if I don't trust her, etc., which seems really manipulative. It's been a couple weeks now and I'm still talking to her while she's away, but I can't get this out of my mind. Any advice would be appreciated. Bonus round. She had told me prior that she ended up taking the MDMA with him the first night he was here. In her words, they sat on the couch and didn't really feel anything as it didn't work and ended up going to sleep. And also, why would she take that sort of drug with him when her selling point to me was that SX feels great on it? Edit for context. This is the first time I've ever considered myself to be in love and ever really opened up to someone. Whatever that means. Reader comment. I didn't read everything, but that is love bombing. Also, regardless of this guy being a family friend, they were in and off for years. That doesn't just go away. I would literally sleep on the floor before I slept in a bed with my ex, especially while with someone. I see at the bottom that you said she's gaslighted you. So why are you continuing this relationship? Your morals don't line up and she's shown multiple toxic behaviors already. They only get worse with time. Original poster. I guess I wanted to continue it cause I've dated girls in the past but never fell for anyone before. A close friend of mine told me that I might be in love for the first time. Guess I just gotta face reality of the situation and not let her ruin this for the next girl I date. Reader comment. It sounds like you have some concerns about your partner's behavior while she was on her trip. And it's understandable that you're feeling confused and unsure of how to move forward. It's important to remember that trust is a key component of any healthy relationship. And if you don't trust your partner, it can be difficult to move forward. It's important to have an open and honest conversation with her about your feelings and concerns. It's also important to consider whether her behavior aligns with your values and whether you're comfortable with her past actions. It's also important to remember that everyone has different boundaries and comfort levels in relationships. And it's important to respect each other's boundaries. If her actions are not something you're comfortable with, it's important to have a conversation with her about it and to think about whether this relationship is right for you. As for the MDMA, it's not healthy to be in a relationship with someone who uses drugs recreationally. And if this is something that is not aligning with your values, it's important to have a conversation with her about it and make a decision that is best for you. It's also important to remember that gaslighting is a form of manipulation and is not healthy in a relationship. If she is trying to manipulate you into thinking you have trust issues when you have valid concerns, it's important to address this behavior and decide whether this relationship is healthy for you. Ultimately, it's important to make a decision that is best for you and your well-being, and it's important to have an open and honest conversation with her about your concerns and boundaries. Original poster. Thank you for the reply. We'll keep the advice in mind. Reader comment. Greater than did she cheat? So, they spent the night together, alone and high on MDMA, but didn't have sex. Yeah, you're right to not believe that story. It's right up there with the I accidentally fell on his DCK several times kind of story. Dump her, preferably by having sex with someone else and spinning the story of how it didn't happen, but really just block her on all social media. And just halt all contact. Original poster. All my close friends have said the exact same thing. Thanks for your reply.